Hello everybody, my name is Walter, and today I want to show you how you can build my supercharged and infinite expandable 12-high slime and honey door. If you're looking for the corresponding showcase and Word download, you can find those linked in the description. But let's get started. So this is a modular design with the modules defining the width of the opening itself. And additionally to those modules, you have a control circuitry on the side which produces the required signals. The modules are 2 blocks wide each, with the last being optionally just 1 block wide if you want to have an odd-sized opening. The control circuit itself adds just 6 blocks to the side. The whole circuitry is a total of 9 blocks long, and the total height is 30 blocks, 12 for the opening and 9 at the top and 9 at the bottom. For required resources, I split this down into what you need for the control circuitry and what you need for each module. So for every 2 blocks of width for the opening. So let's start with the control circuitry. You're going to need building blocks, then 7 slabs, 55 obsidian blocks, and 13 slime blocks. For redstone components, it's a full redstone block, 111 redstone dust, 10 torches, 34 repeaters, 15 comparators, 2 normal pistons and 13 sticky pistons, 2 droppers, 2 hoppers, and 2 buttons. And for each module, so this is the top and the bottom half together, you're going to need building blocks again, then 21 obsidian blocks, 16 slime blocks, and 6 honey blocks. Furthermore, 21 redstone dust, 2 repeaters, 2 comparators, 12 sticky pistons, and 4 hoppers. And with that said, let's actually show you how to build this door here. Start by marking where the future doorway will be. For that, we will need the side of the doorway where the control circuitry will be later on, which is basically this 12-high stack of obsidian blocks. I also started with the floor and the ceiling, and as you can see, right in the front and the back of the future opening, or the places where the door moves through, we will need obsidian blocks in the first slice. And to make things a bit clearer, I also added some normal blocks in those corners here. So once you have figured out where your door will go, you need another column of 12 blocks with a 1 height gap further towards the left. And that's where we can place our buttons at the very bottom here, at the front and the back. Once you have done that, it's time to go below this. 2 blocks down, we need a block with a redstone wire on top. Then go 6 blocks down further. And to the front. And then I'll place this one here with a sticky piston with a full block on top. Then we will need another 2 blocks to the left with a raised block following that. Redstone wire on top of those. Then here a 2x5 of normal blocks, followed by 1 block here and a raised block in this corner. Put down a 2-tick repeater here, another one here, then a comparator subtract mode here, running into the side of another one here. Diagonal to that, we need another one in subtract mode, and then finally another one running into that one, like so. Put 2 redstone wire here and here, then where there actually some more there. Place a block diagonally behind this comparator and this comparator here, and start then with a torch here, so now this wire here should be powered, and then a torch here, so this wire should remain unpowered. Now add another 2 blocks to the right this time. That's the wire on top. And now we will need a temporary button here, so we can give the entire thing a few pulses. And the goal is to give it enough pulses so that the signal strength will reach exactly to this point here, but not further. Which should be a total of 6 pulses. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see at the moment the power doesn't reach here. And with the last pulse, the power reaches here. So now we have set up this bottom part here properly. Now let's go to the corner here in the front left. Add to the right 2 raised blocks. Then towards the back we need a raised, then lowered, raised, followed by 4 lowered, and then a raised block. Then towards the left we need 2 lowered blocks. Then towards the front another 3 blocks, then a raised block, and then close up this kind of loop here with a raised block. Then towards the back here we need another 2 raised blocks here. Now let's go and add some redstone wire. First we need 3 wire or 4 wire here. Then a 1 tick repeater here and a 1 tick repeater on those 4 blocks each. Then we will need some wire on top of those blocks and those 2 blocks. Then cut off the wire here with a full block. In this corner here we need a sticky piston with a block on top, then a block to the side with a 1 tick repeater taking an output. Then while we're here, let's go from this block here with 4 raised blocks, so we are next to the gap above the torch there. Above the torch itself we need a upside down slab, then 2 more blocks like so. Then here another block towards the front, then a raised block here, and then a further raised block there. Put redstone wire on top of those blocks here all the way over to there. Here we will need a 2 tick repeater. Then in this gap a full block with a 1 tick repeater running into another full block. Then 2 wire here and a full block in this corner there to cut off the wire. Next, let's go to this block here that is directly powered by the buttons. And here we need to go to the back, place a lowered block here with a repeater on 2 ticks taking an output. This runs into a full block with a torch to the side of it. Then a block diagonally here, so we can take an output with some wire. Put the torch on the front of this block. Then we need a block diagonally to the torch like so, again with redstone wire on top. And running into a full block. Now place a normal piston going in this direction towards the back, and then a sticky piston behind it facing upwards. Full block on top. Then we need a full block here, here, and here. Put down some wire here and here, which you cut off with a full block there. Then let's go and add a comparator in a subtract mode running towards the left here and in the opposite direction here. Now let's also cut off the wire here with a full block. Then we will need a dropper facing towards the back behind this comparator here. Then a hopper running into the face of it. So now over here, let's place 5 items into the dropper there. Then we will need a block diagonally to this hopper here, so we can take an output with a comparator. This runs into a full block. Then we need a block hovering below and one to the side, so we have this X shape with the gap in the middle. Wire on this side. Then in the direction of this torch there, we will need a repeater on 4 ticks in this gap there. Now let's go to this corner here. First, place a block in front of this herder there and behind it. Then we will need a block here, another 2 blocks there. Put some wire here, a repeater on 2 ticks there, and another one on 1 tick there. Then a full block in front of the 2 tick repeater. Here we will need first an upside down slab and then 2 normal blocks. Put down the redstone wire, which should connect to the wire down there and to this over there. And then let's also place a full block here, like so. And I just noticed during some cut I lost a bit of signal strength down here, so I had to give it a few more pulses. If you need to do this, make sure you cut off this wire here before you give the wire down there some pulses. Or this serial here may get triggered in the wrong way. Anyway, let's continue on. We need to go back to this corner here, and here we start with a torch to the front of this block. then diagonal to that, we need a block so we can take an output with some wire. This runs into a sticky piston with a block on top. Then following that, we need 3 blocks, then a lowered block and a raised block with another block to the side here. Then another raised and lowered block. Put a 1 tick repeater here, followed by some wire all the way until we reach this block here, and then another 1 tick repeater there. Grab a piston, place it next to this block here, so it's 1 below this block here. Then on top of this wire, we will need another sticky piston facing inwards with a full block to the face. And here we will also need a sticky piston basically running into this block there. And with that, the circuitry is pretty much done, so we can give this part a test run. So when I press the button, what I want to see is this piston here going up and down 6 times. And this signal strength here also increasing 6 times. We will see this in a moment. So you can see the few pulses, and you can also see the signal strength here increasing. And once we press the button again, we should see pulses and now signal strength decreasing. Again, what we want to see is that the signal strength only reaches up to this point and not further. So the circuitry appears to work. So now it's time for the first module here. So we will start down here with a lowered block, then a raised block, and then we need 4 raised obsidian blocks, like so, with wire on top except for the last one. Then add another 2 blocks here, a comparator there with some wire on top, and now the same staircase-like structure. And a wire. Then go to this last normal block in the staircase structure and place a sticky piston next to it, followed by another 4, so we have 5 in total. Then we will need some slime blocks, 5 in total, on top. Another sticky piston here with now 6 honey blocks on top, which should nicely fill in the gap in the floor. We can also start placing the 6 blocks next to it. And over there, let's actually fill in the rest of this short floor segment there. Now we still need the pulses from here to go into the piston there. And for that, we will actually need a couple hoppers. So we start with a normal block next to where the piston currently is. Redstone wire on top. Then a hopper on top. Redstone wire on top of that. Hopper on top of that, and redstone wire on top of that. Then diagonally, as you can see here, making this like a zigzagging structure, 2 normal blocks, wire here and wire here. And let's also add the connection to the next module here, just a block with a 1 tick repeater there. And that should do the trick for this module here. So you can see the extension works. And when we press the button again, the retraction also works properly. Now let's fill in the rest of this floor. For that we will need another 4 obsidian blocks, or the floor blocks will get stuck to this slime construct down there. And the rest can be filled in with normal blocks essentially. And the rest over here. And obviously you should also top off the circuitry here with normal blocks, which is not really that difficult. And there are no surprises here. So if you find this gap here being a bit annoying, you can also add another obsidian block down there just to make this edge a bit nicer to look at. The same can be done, by the way, at the top. But with that, said, now you could add more modules to the side, but I will do this after I have finished with the top part. Now for the top part, we start on top of the column with the buttons. And here we have 2 raised blocks to the left, then 4 blocks to the front, then a raised block. Put down some wire all the way until you're on top of this block there. Then on this block, a torch on the right with a block on top, then another block here. And on top, wire on the 2 sides, and then a repeater going towards the right. Torch on the side of this block. Then we will need a block diagonally with some wire on top, then cut off the wire here with a full block. Next to this block, we need a null piston facing forward, and behind it a sticky piston facing upward, with a block on top and also a block in front of that wire there. Now we need blocks to all 4 directions of the central block there. To the front and the right, place redstone dust. Again, cut off the wire here with a full block. Then at the back, we need a comparator going towards the left in the subtract mode. And on the left, we need one going towards the right. Behind this comparator, we need a full block, and in front of it, 2. Then this comparator here needs a dropper behind it facing forward. And that one needs a hopper running directly into it. Then place a lowered block here and take an output with a comparator running into this block there. Now while we're here, let's actually place 5 items inside of the dropper, as you can see there. Next, let's go to the back here. We start with a block diagonally behind this dropper, then 3 blocks like so, then a raised block here, lowered upside down step there, another raised block here. Grab some wire, place it here and on top of those 3 blocks. Then I need a 1-tick repeater here and a 2-tick repeater there. Following that, we will need on top of this one here an upside down slab like so. Then to the side here a normal block. And one on top of this one here. Then a raised one, then a lowered one, another raised one, and 2 lowered ones. Then here another raised block, followed by 4 lowered blocks and a raised block. Same on this side here, so raised, 4 lowered, 1 raised, and then around the corner another lowered one. Now let's go and add some wire on top of those 3 blocks here and those raised ones here. Then a 2-tick repeater followed by 3 1-tick and another 1-tick there. Here again 2-tick and 3 1-tick and another 1-tick there. Then some wire on top of those blocks here. And now we need to go a bit further down. So place a block here, then go diagonally down, then towards the back, diagonally down another 2 times. And last one down there, which is actually part of the future ceiling. Now we need to go over here, then 1 up. And 1 further over here. So until we are in line with the rest of the circuitry up to this point, which is where we need a sticky piston with a block on top, a block to the side, and a repeater there. Now, just a lot of wire, cut off this wire here by the way, all the way until you reach this wire up there. Now let's go to this block sticking out of the circuitry here. First place a torch to the back, then we will need a block diagonally with some wire connecting to the torch. This runs into a sticky piston with a block on top. Then we have a lowered block with a repeater on 1-tick taking an output. This runs into a full block with a lowered block following that and a raised block on this side. 3 redstone wire on top, like so. Then in this corner here, we need a sticky piston facing upwards, basically with a 1 high gap below this block here. Then an upside down slab on top of this middle wire there. Wire on top, cut off the wire here with a full block. This wire runs into another full block. Then we have a sticky piston here, and now we will actually need just 2 pieces of slime block in front, and then a full block to the side, which will, depending on whether it's spit out or not, cut the connection here or here. Following that, let's go, and on this block here, we will need a block to the front, then to the back an upside down slab, block to the left here, and then a lower block here. Following that, we need a 2x4 of blocks, as you can see here, then 2 raised blocks here, with a third one to the right of the build. Then let's add another block to the front here, 2 blocks to the side, and then add another 2 blocks here, then go 1 down and 1 up. Then we have another raised block, and then around the corner a lowered block, like so. Now let's add a few more blocks. First, add a 2-tick repeater here, and another 2-tick repeater there. Now we need a comparator in front of this repeater here in the subtract mode, running into the side of another one in subtract mode. Then going out from the block, the repeater here would be powering, another one in subtract mode, and then diagonally here in this direction, another one. Now let's add some wire here and there, another comparator up there. Then we will need a block diagonally behind this and this comparator here. Now we'll start with the one here being powered by this torch, and then the torch here. So you can see this wire is now powered, this one here is not. Then we will need for now a lever. And what we need to do is give this short pulses until the signal strength here reaches just here, but not there. So you can see short pulse, signal increased by 1, and second short pulse, signal is just where we want it. Okay, now we can do away with that again. Then 3 wire here, connecting this up. And here wire going first towards the front, then to the side, and then all the way until we reach to this point over there. And at this point, we could give this a test run. So let's just grab a button for now. And let's power the line down there. So now let's just place a button there and power this. And what we want to see is this going up and down 6 times. And the signal strength here also increases 6 times. And if we give it a second pulse, again pulsing down there, and now signal decreasing until it reaches just not here. And that's looking good. So now we can build our first module. So for the first module, let's start in front of this comparator with a raised block, then a lowered block towards the back. And now we need to go diagonally down with 4 obsidian blocks. Put down redstone wire on top of all of these. Then we have a lowered block towards the right of the build. And now we have the same staircase-like structure a second time. Again, redstone wire on top, like so. And in here, a comparator to propagate the signal. Now, starting next to this normal block here with the wire, we need a sticky piston facing downwards, followed by another 4 to make a total of 5. Then below them we need slime blocks. Following that, a sticky piston facing downwards. Below that, then 6 slime blocks, which should nicely fit into the gap down there. Next to that, the 6 normal blocks. Then we can also start filling in a bit more of the ceiling here. Now we need the signals to power this piston there. For that, we start with an obsidian block right above the future ceiling. Redstone dust on top, hopper on top, redstone dust on top, hopper on top, redstone dust on top. Then in front of the repeater, raised full block with redstone dust on top. And then on top of that, we need an upside down slab, again with redstone dust on top. And for the next module, we can already start with the connection, just a lower block there with a repeater on 1 tick going out. And that should be all. So let's give it a test run by pressing the button we have for now down here. And what we want to see is this completely extending. And if we press the button again, we also want it to completely retract again. And apparently I had the timing slightly wrong. So let's press the button again. So we are in a more or less correct position again. And now, a little mistake of mine. Let's replace this wire with a repeat on 1 tick. And now the timing should be correct again. So press the button. And it's looking good now. Just to be safe. Shouldn't matter for the extension, but now everything is working quite nicely. And that means now we can start filling in the rest of the ceiling. For that, let's add first 4 more obsidian blocks here, or otherwise those slime blocks would get stuck to the ceiling. And then the rest can be just filled in with normal blocks. As you can see here, leave the middle between those two empty for now. If you find this gap here a bit annoying, you can place an optional obsidian block here to make the edge a bit nicer to look at. But besides of that, we can quickly fill in the rest of this here without any issue. So pretty easy, no surprises there. And with that done, it's time to connect the two parts, the top with the bottom. So let's first remove our temporary piston there. Then we will need later on this one here. And here I accidentally placed the block there. We don't need it because here we need a sticky piston right in the layer of the floor. Then on top of that, slime blocks until we are almost at the top, so 11 in total, and then a redstone block. And if we now press this button, we should see both sides moving in sync. And if we press the button again, both sides also retracting in sync. So now you could leave it like that, or you can add a column of obsidian blocks to the front and the back. So close it up if you wish. Okay, so with that done, the circuitry is finished. Now all that's left, more or less, is just adding a few more modules. And for that, all you need to do is take this slice and this slice here and repeat them. The same at the top. So not the third one, just the last 2 slices here. And here we go. So as you can see, now I have a total of 10 modules or 20 blocks in width. I also decided to fill in the right and the left side of the door frame. One side note here, for the last module, you obviously don't need the repeater here and here, since there is no further module to be powered. So you can spare a few minor resources there. Little side note, you can also make this an odd width by just leaving out in this layer of normal blocks as part of the last module. And obviously then you would have to have immovable blocks on the right side of the door frame. You could also reduce the height of the door opening by leaving out the corresponding pistons at the bottom and also reducing the number of items inside of the dropper at the bottom and the top. When you're doing this, my recommendation is building this for the 12 high version, at least for the bottom first. Then closing the door, and then you already see which piston you can remove, which is the lowest one here and the highest one there. So you remove this piston, reduce the number of items here by 1. And if you now trigger this, you would see the retraction stops one early. And then you can just remove this sticking out layer. And now you have, if you move this one down, you would have, for example, an 11 high door. Or if you did the same to the top, you would have a 10 high door. And as you can see, it works just the same way. Let me just quickly undo those minor changes here. And now we're back to the fully functional 12 by 12 high version. So just a little side note here, if you want to go for a slightly different sized door. And with that, we have reached the end of this tutorial for my supercharged, expandable, 12 high slime and honey door. I hope you enjoyed it, and well, see ya!